Hi, my name is Tiffany Blatnick, and I'm here to answer some questions about Chagas disease. Chagas disease, or American trypanosomiasis, is an illness that can cause really serious cardiovascular or digestive problems. Now, this is caused by the Trypanosoma cruzi parasite, and it's usually spread by infected blood-sucking bugs. Typically, this comes from a particular species of bugs or a particular family called triatomine bugs, or more commonly known as kissing bugs. And they're known this because they often bite people on their faces. One of these bugs comes up and bites you on the face, and it'll leave behind infected waste near the bite site. They usually defecate right after feeding. And essentially what happens is that if you touch this waste and it gets into your eyes or your mouth or any sort of area, mucosa tissue, or within the bite wound or a cut on your face, it can spread into your bloodstream. It can also spread via contaminated food, blood transfusion, pregnancy and breastfeeding, donated organs, in a number of ways, essentially, through mucosa tissue or blood contact. So most of these bugs can be found throughout the Americas, but they're more commonly found in areas of rural Latin America. This disease, Chagas disease, is common in Latin America, especially among the poor or in these rural areas. It can also be found in the U.S., but more often than not, folks who are diagnosed with Chagas disease are typically infected before they enter the U.S. So those vacationing or those who are immigrating to the United States. So kissing bugs go through what's essentially called an incomplete metamorphosis. So they have an egg, a nymph, and an adult stage. So within those nymph stages, there are multiple, anywhere between 5 and 8. They will take at least one blood meal before molting to the next stage. And so in each of these stages, these blood meals can be humans, domesticated animals, wildlife, but essentially what happens is that right after feeding, they defecate, like I explained earlier. And this is how the parasite Trypanosoma cruzi is transmitted. And so it happens right after a blood meal, okay? And the time needed between these life stages, it varies dependent on temperature, host availability, moisture content in the air, and once they reach adulthood, these female kissing bugs will mate, feed, and lay eggs. And a female kissing bug can lay hundreds of eggs within her lifetime and will mate with multiple individuals. That said, when does this bug essentially contract this parasite, or how is this even happening to this bug? Similarly, it can be passed down from generation to generation, or can be picked up through contaminated food. So if they feed on a wild animal with the parasite, they become contaminated and take it on forward, right? As well as through contaminated feces from other kissing bugs. So the thing about this, though, is that currently there's no vaccines or medicines to prevent Chagas disease. So it's not something that you can necessarily prevent unless you are using something like insecticides or netting while sleeping. If you travel to Latin America or are currently living in Latin America, making sure that your sleeping arrangements are appropriate so that insects cannot get in, along with using some sort of insecticide within your home or on your own person. That said, if they're around, kissing bugs can bite and they can infect you. So one thing to consider, though, is that if you are camping or sleeping outdoors, you're obviously going to be at a higher risk. If you're sleeping in poor housing conditions that may not have properly sealed windows or roofs, that may be something to consider as well. Another thing to think about, too, is practicing food safety and making sure that sanitary food practices are considered wherever you are choosing to eat if you are visiting or living within Latin America. Thank you so much, and I hope this answers your questions. Bye.